So that was very, that made me feel proud to know that y'all wanted me there. Did you know you wanted me to come to the back before we got there, or was that just like something that you just looked back and was like, I want him in with us?
I kind of knew before.
Yeah.
Were you kind of like just expecting him to go back, just like I'm gonna go back?
Yeah.
Because I didn't know. Again, that was my first time going back. So when mommy told me that you were going through your changes, as a first-time dad, especially like a little girl, because, daddy helped raise my nieces, which is cousin Rena and, the other ones you've met. But it was like my first time going through it as a dad. And I remember going and getting you those books. How did that make you feel when I got you the book? Did it make you feel nervous? How did it make you feel when I got you the My Body is Changing books?
Kind of like, why do I need books? Because I think in that era I was like into video games.
Okay.
And I really didn't, I was out of the, oh my God, I want to read,
Mm-hmm.
But I was kind of like, not nervous, but like not scared either. It just like, oh, okay. Like the changes that mommy goes through,
Mm-hmm.
it just was like, okay, I'm going to be just like mommy. Like,
Yeah, you are going to be just like mom. And did you read the books?
Yeah.
And how did they make you feel as you was reading them? Did they make you feel like nervous? Did they make you feel ashamed? Or did they answer questions that you were already wondering about?
They answered questions. It was actually just like a regular book.
Okay.
I'm just reading the book.
Okay. So you didn't see it as something that you will eventually go through. You just kind of seen it as a book you're reading.
Yeah.
And now that you're going through those changes, how do you feel? Do you feel prepared for it, or?
Yeah, and I also think that I should have read that book like 2 or 3 times.
Okay, well, I mean, you still have. But recently you went through the full transition as a woman. I mean, becoming a woman. And I remember we were sitting out here and we were talking. And you looked at me and you was like, Dad, I don't feel any different. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
Did you think you were going to become a superhero?
No, I thought...
Like, it literally had just had, like, her first one just happened, like, 2 days, I think. And she just looks at me, and we were watching that Disney movie. And she looks at me and she goes, Dad, I don't feel any different. So my head's into the Disney movie. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And she's like, you know how mom is that time of the month? I'm like, oh.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not me. I'm just myself.
Yeah,
That's
like
just my personality.
and that was the thing I wanted. That's why, like I said, I didn't want to necessarily talk about it, but I wanted to address it because, like, I think she thought, like, well, mommy's mean.
But I'm mean 24/7.
Yeah, but you're like really bad around that time of the month. You don't realize this about yourself, but you're like, huh?
I do.
I don't think you know to what extent you're horrible. Like, around that time of the month.
And honestly, mommy's so mean that when her period goes off, I have to ask, is your period off?
Yeah.
Because I'm mean all the time.
No, but you're a different type of person. Like that's why a lot of times, like, even when you don't kick me out of the bed, which you haven't since we talked about it.
Sits out here.
Yeah, that's why I just come out here and I'm just like, I don't even want to be around you. Like, you're a totally different person.
Like, you don't care.
But that's the whole thing. Like, that's why I wanted to not so much talk about it, but I wanted to address it because she was thinking like there was going to be this total, like eclipse or something. I don't know what she was thinking, but for me, I was like, I think mommy should, know this part and we should address this part as a family because I'm not a woman. So I don't know, 1, what you were expecting. And 2, I don't know if it was like at first nothing really happens and then eventually you become. I don't know. So, baby, do you want to address that?
I feel like I was pretty chill in the beginning
Mm-hmm.
when mine first started, but as it progressed, and I started having pain, lots of pain.
Mm-hmm.
Then of course, with pain comes anger. At least with me, so I'm like, why I gotta go through this?
Mm-hmm.
And then you sitting over there ain't feeling no pain. You ain't doing nothing.
Now, what was Lily's reaction to when you were being mean?
She dealt with it.
Oh.
I thought y'all didn't get along when you was.
During that time of the month, she dealt with it.
Oh.
So she knew just like, I can't control that. She can't control that either.
Mm.
Yeah, that's nature. It is what it is. But the rest of the time that I was off the chain, no, we did not get along.
So at first, you didn't feel any differences either.
No, I was 13 and.
So she beat you by 2 years. Okay.
Yes.
Out of everybody, like our close, yeah, I am the one that lasted the longest as far as not having it.
Oh, really? So your mom and Catherine were pretty early?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was talking to one of my coworkers. She was telling me, like, I think she said one of her sisters, she was like 9. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that's just. I was mad it came at 13. I'm like, this needs to wait until I'm ready to have children because I don't see why I need to have it and be inconvenienced at this time. Like, I have things to do.
So, like I said, as it being March and it being Women's History Month, this will be the last episode of March and this month. I really wanted to praise all of the ladies and women's in the house because I truly do genuinely love y'all and appreciate y'all. I wanted people to know, like, the dynamics of our family. And one, I wanted you to know, like, you can always come and talk to me and mommy. I know we've told you that a bajillion times already, but I wanted you to know that you can always come and talk to me and mommy about anything. You know, like I said, I honestly felt a little nervous when mommy told me you were going through the change, but I went and got you those books because I wanted you to know, like, even if it makes daddy feel a little uncomfortable, that he'll always be there. You can always talk to me about anything, regardless.
Because he'll get over it. He'll be just fine.
I will get over it. Now, you said you don't mind talking about your cycle. I remember when I brought up the subject of doing this podcast, you were like, I wanted to bring up the subject about women's cycles. And you were like, why are guys so grossed out about it? And like I told you, I think after thinking about it for a few days, I think it's because no one really talks about them. It's just kind of like pooing. Like, everybody does it, but like no one really talks about it.
Yes.
So it's not like something you want to watch on TV. Like, you don't want to sit down and watch somebody taking a real crap on TV. You'd be like, that's disgusting. So I think that's part of the reason why men kind of get grossed out about cycles. It's not so much like, oh, I'm going to die knowing this. It's just like kind of like one of those things no one really talks about. So, like, you know, again, with it being Women's History Month, how do you feel when it's that time of the month? Because I know you also deal with mental issues as well. But, like, how do you feel when it's becoming that time of the month? Like, are you
irritable, in pain, lots and lots of pain? It seems like it gets worse every month. It gets worse. I don't know if it's after having all these kids or what the problem is, but it's progressively getting worse. During that time, I feel alone. The pain is the thing that just takes over all of it, and I don't do well with pain at all. It slows me down. I already don't have enough time in the day.
I know your back pain is getting worse with each month.
It's terrible. It's like a radiating. You can feel the heat of the pain coming off of my back.
Oh, wow.
That's how bad it is. And of course, that makes me extremely irritable because there's nothing that I take that does anything to fix it. That's Oreo. In case you were wondering what the jingle bells was.
The cat. We have a dog and a cat, Bentley and Oreo. But go ahead.
Because on top of having to deal with that pain, I still have to get up and work. I still have to get up and take care of the kids. I still have to get up and take care of the house. Majority of the time, I don't have an appetite, but I need to eat to live. So it's like, okay, force myself to eat, but in forcing yourself to eat, you get nauseous. Everybody that knows me knows I hate being nauseous. It's the worst thing in the world. I'd rather have the back pain than being nauseous. And it's just inconvenient. It's just very inconvenient.
Do you have, since the second one, are you having heavier flows or?
Heavier and longer.
Heavier and longer.
Yeah.
Since
my
having
cycle lasts 8 days instead of the usual 5 that it used to.
So before you had CC, it was only 5 days.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's been even shorter than that.
Yes. And here comes this little stinker. And now it's 8 days, and I'm like, why? That doesn't make any sense.
Have you talked to the doctor about it?
I have not. I need to go. But when I go, I want them to just take everything out. So that's the kind of woman I'm trying to make.
Well, why do you want? Because my mother is older, and she's had some things taken out, and she constantly the reason why I didn't know, but my mom say at one point she called you or texted you or something like that. But she was like, I hope she wasn't offended. I was like, I didn't even know you talked to her, so I don't know how she felt. But she was saying when you go through those surgeries, a lot of times it throws your entire balance off. So it's not just the hot flashes or whatever. But she was saying everything you feel now, you feel that times 10. Because your body is now going through changes because you've been carrying all these, you know what I'm saying? You've been carrying your woman parts for so long.
I mean, they're still there. They're just not together.
Yeah, but you've already had that part. I'm talking about, weren't you talking about at one point having a hysterectomy or something like that?
Yeah, they're not going to do that because I don't have those kind of issues.
Okay. So you're joking when you say you want everything taken
I want everything out. They just won't do it.
Oh, yeah.
It's not medically necessary. So
that's what I'm saying. My mom, because, back in the day, especially with black women, they used to just take y'all stuff out just because.
Just because. That's wrong.
So now they're more no, this will throw off everything about you, everything that kind of makes you a woman.
Some hormone pills or something.
Yeah. So that's why she said she reached out to you because
but that's not
she didn't
what it
want
was
you.
about.
Oh, okay.
She was saying that it was going to do something. She was going to do something. It wasn't that though.
Oh.
But no, I can't say that the healing process from the C-section, that pain was worse on the side. It's with my first baby, it wasn't like that.
What you mean worse on the sides?
Right in here, on the side of my stomach.
Okay.
I had the worst pain there. The incision thing, I can deal with it because I'm used to it. I had it done before, whatever.
Okay.
But I never felt that pain on the side before. And they're like, oh, that's because, you had your tubes done.
Okay.
And I'm didn't realize that was going to be painful because, you don't feel your tubes, you know what I'm saying?
So why was I having to force you to sit the fuck down?
Because I know if I kept moving and I kept myself active, it lessens the chance of me having a blood clot. Okay. And that's the one thing I was afraid of.
Okay.
I needed to keep moving. If I just sat down and allowed myself to not get up and not do things, I was going to get adjusted to that. You weren't going to be here all the time. I needed to go ahead and be in that mindset of, I got to do everything.
Now, how did you feel after 2 months of me being here, me going back to work?
It was all right. It took some getting used to not having my nap. So I needed my nap. Okay. But once I got used to, my body got adjusted to not having a nap, and that was all right. They get on my nerves, but they're good kids. Mm-hmm. We've been blessed with good kids. Mm-hmm. They're fun. They make me laugh. They are literally the joys of my life. Mm. I love my babies. So when you went back, it was just hey, I got all this joy to myself. Mm-hmm. They're all mine. I don't have to share right now. I think that's the hardest part, having to share my babies. Because I don't share well, people.
You don't?
I don't. And I don't make any excuses or apologize for that. Didn't have to share when I was little.
Yeah.
It's not my fault. So having to I literally have to make myself share my babies, which is crazy.